It's week 0 of college football, and we give you our best bet for the Nebraska Northwestern game in Dublin, Ireland, and we tell you how you could take home a piece of our $500 college football prize pool. And it all starts right now. Hey guys, it's Matt from Grandstand Bettors, and we are back with our weekly college football plays here for the 2022 season, starting with week 0. Our college football best bet leaderboard is also back for the season, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But first, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our college football free picks all season long. And while you're at it, smash that like button because it is time to dive in to some college football. And without any further ado, let's dive in to our best bet for the Nebraska versus Northwestern matchup this Saturday in Dublin, Ireland at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Now, Nebraska finished the 2021 season 3-9, and this triggered head coach Scott Frost to completely clean house. Frost brought in Mark Whipple, who coached Pitt for the past 2 seasons, to take charge of this offense. And this offense, for the first time, will have a new guy under center. Casey Thompson transferred in from Texas. Last season, he threw for over 2,000 yards and 24 touchdowns in the 10 games he played for the Longhorns. He also has the ability to run the football. He put up 157 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground last season. Now, with a couple wide receiver transfers they added to an already solid wide receiver group, the Cornhuskers should be able to move the ball down the field through the air fairly easily. The only problem for them, though, is can they give Thompson enough time in the pocket? They only have 2 returning starting offensive linemen, and they gave up those 29 sacks last year along with the others on the offensive line. Thankfully, Thompson has the ability to extend the pocket with his legs, but if their line is not able to establish a presence of a run game, Thompson could be throwing 40-plus times in this one. Now, defensively, Nebraska actually had a solid season last year, especially against Northwestern. They ended up holding the Wildcats to only 7 points, but what might be more impressive in that matchup is they held them to 37 rushing yards on 26 attempts in that game. They have a very solid linebacker group, and 3 of their starting linebackers are returning this season. So, the Wildcat offense may run into some problems running the ball against them again this year. And speaking of those Wildcats, Northwestern also finished the season 3-9, but with a much more statistical deficit than the Cornhuskers. The Wildcats only put up 16.6 points per game last season, which was last in the Big Ten, and they only had 195 passing yards per game. The only bright spot for them heading into the season is the fact that they are returning 9 starters on offense and have Evan Hull at running back. He rushed for over 1,000 yards last season with 7 touchdowns while averaging over 5 yards per carry. Now, the only problem is the Cornhuskers had his number last season and held him to a low 31 yards in that game against them. Now, with the core of the running defense still in place at Nebraska, the Wildcats are going to need to rely on their quarterback, Ryan Helinski, to throw the ball more in this one to start the season off. Wildcats struggled to throw the ball all last season, but the one thing they have going for them is that in the matchup, Nebraska has basically a brand new secondary with only 1 guy returning from their starting lineup. So, hey, maybe they can take advantage of the young talent on the other side of the football. Now, if they do attack that secondary enough, it could open up the game a little for Hull, but that's still a matter if Helinski can get the ball where he needs to get it. Last season, he only had a 54% completion rate. The other piece of bad news for Northwestern is that their defense is not going to help them stay in this game. Against Big Ten opponents last season, they gave up over 30 points per game and ranked 111th in college football, giving up 6.3 yards per play. They also lost linebacker Chris Burgeon, and safety Brandon Joseph, who were key parts of that defense last year. So things don't look like it's going to be good for them on paper right now, but hey, that's why we play the games, right? Now with the spread at 11.5 at the moment, we are a bit tempted by it to take the Cornhuskers as they beat the Wildcats 56-7 last year. However, it is the first game of the season for a relatively brand new Nebraska team, and playing all the way in Ireland could mess up those internal clocks. So instead, we're going to look at the over-under. With how many points Northwestern gave up per game last year and only 5 starters returning for Nebraska on defense, there could be a lot of hiccups in this game on both sides of the ball. We don't see this one being a defensive battle here in week 0. So to kick things off for the 2022 college football season, we're going to take over 51.5 points in the first Big Ten matchup of the season. Now, before we sign off, we have to let you know how you can participate in our college football best bet leaderboard challenge. It's very simple. Each week, starting next week in week 1, you are going to put your 3 best bets on the spread in the comments of our college football free pick videos. The entire rules really will be posted in the pinned comment next week. Just follow those rules, get those picks in each week, and give yourself a chance to win some of that $500 prize pool. Again, this year, we are going to be paying out the top 3 spots. That's it for us here at Grandstand Bettors. As always, sit back, relax, enjoy Nebraska Northwestern in week 0, and we'll see you next week for an entire full weekend of college football.